where we put some beef in also.
Hey,
Hello,
Rchain.
hey, hello.
Hey.
I'm configuring the YouTube. So we are all set. We are live, and the thing is recording. So welcome to our member meeting. And I just presented a nice application for the reward system. It was a bit short and I could show everything I wanted, but anyway, it's my 30 seconds in the Greg's Hangout. Okay.
It would have been good if you could have shown them an actual issue with budgets, but yeah, it was short time.
Yeah.
It's awesome, and you know, all of our communities can use that for their GitHub repositories. So you know, we can use it for the BYOID. Going to suggest to Greg that he use it for reflective. They're talking about they need a bounty system. He's saying that.
Yeah, to get this deal flow into it.
Right, and then we have a similar comment. You know, we collaborate on the bounty system. We all use.
Yeah, I will get in touch with Greg Royce.
Awesome.
Good idea. Well, Kit, how are you doing?
Yes, hi.
You're in Rotterdam?
So, yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So I will look for our agenda and then see if there's something interesting to say about it. So in the meantime, you can take the floor if you want.
Start scribing, you mean?
No. You can tell what you've been doing and what you're up to.
What I'm doing.
And what's the most important things that you've...
Yeah, I've been doing bits and pieces of stuff. Doing some stuff on the member site, collecting tasks that people might want to do with the idea that they would feed into the structure of the site, and trying to get some, well, wireframes, you could call them, wireframes worked out. And Patrick made some stuff which, well, didn't completely make sense, but it made sense from his point of view and his thinking. And then I think Ian and Dan, they came up with a sort of minimal viable product idea, which is so minimal, I'm not sure if it's viable, but hey, if it gets us control of the member site, we'll start with it. And yeah, that's been most of my activity, actually, working a bit on benefits and things like that.
Okay. Jake, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. I've been talking and trying to help onboard Kelsey, who has experience doing sort of translation work and management of it. And she just proposed a statement of work. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it's pretty comprehensive and goes through sort of her ideas and lists some budgets and time estimates for sort of managing that work.
Okay. And how is she called?
Kelsey.
Kelsey. Is it something like this? It It's in the chat box.
Yep. Like
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so that's interesting. So we can have a bit more management on budgets and rewards.
And if you wanted to go through your statement of work, we could do that now. I have it pulled up, but if there's other things that are valuable, we can save that for later. She was going to try to hop on at some point during this call. I don't know if she'll make it though.
Okay. Yeah, maybe you can show her statement of work.
All right, sounds good.
If there's no personal information in it.
No, she posted it publicly.
Okay.
All right, see my screen?
Yeah. Maybe a bit bigger.
Yep. How's that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So part of her proposal is to sort of schedule monthly reports on budget, you know, with breakdowns on what's being spent out of the bounty program, and then breakdowns of translation further into like blogs, technical documentation, that kind of stuff. What languages are being translated, what content. Another part is work with the marketers and developers to understand the needs in terms of localization. So figuring out which languages we want to target, priorities, what stuff is important to translate from sort of the Pyrofect side and from, you know, any of the content that's being released. Then there's sort of setting up and enforcing standards. So making sure that everything, all that sort of information that's collected is put in a place that's easy to identify, and, you know, making sure that new translation issues are following the template and people aren't confused about what's up for translation and what's not. Another is she has a bunch of ideas for setting up and managing the quality of translation. So first, she would like to have some way to sort of get like a dictionary or a library of different phrases or things that might be translated, so that different translators can ensure that, you know, they're translating the same concepts like namespaces to the same words in other languages, since there's sort of new technical terms that we're kind of inventing or might be a little bit new. I think important. I think that was a great idea. And then also proposing to send translations to a third party sort of randomly and sporadically, and create a process for that to a third party to review them to make sure that they're good, and that you know, we can sort of spot check, you know, the trust and figure out which translators are good from like a third party perspective. And she sort of research, you know, how much that would cost, who would do it, the process surrounding it, and facilitating that. Also, sort of, there's been talk of other tools that might be better for handling translation work and being able to move that maybe out of GitHub a little bit. At least part of the workflow might clean that up a bit. Putting together and participating in bounty voting and sort of putting together standards that sort of relate prices to the priorities and different languages and all that. And then also just sort of following through and making sure that everything is published correctly in the right place. You know, making sure that we're publishing stuff on platforms, if we're localizing it, that are actually sort of good and support localization. Because right now we're sort of translating some Medium articles, but we don't really have like a Chinese Medium, and Medium doesn't support us, you know, doing our own translations. So she'd take a look at that as well. Then she has some deliverables schedules and has graciously sort of put in her estimates saying, you know, for her goal, you know, has estimated an hourly and will charge hourly for it, but also put a cap at a certain amount in the statement of work, just to make sure that, sort of we're all on the same page with how long she thinks things will take and how much it'll cost. So she has like deadlines and all that broken down here, and then sort of the stuff that would be ongoing on a weekly basis. So yeah, any questions or comments there?
Yeah. Is it not too much focused on translation efforts?
Well, so this is sort of what she wanted to focus on at first, was sort of the cleanup and organizing of the translation efforts. And it does sort of include the overall management of talking about the bounty sort of system budget. The hope was that, since she's new to the community, she could start small, make sure that she can actually make an impact and do this work, and she likes it. And if she does, she might consider proposing a bigger statement of work. There was even mention sort of down in here about proposing a different and bigger statement of work for the, moving the workflow out of GitHub, finding a new translation tool. So I think she's open to it, but also wanted to sort of keep this statement of work and scope limited for right now.
Okay, and this statement of work, is it approved already by the official of Rchain?
I don't believe so. No, she posted in the executive committee channel. It's my understanding that they met this morning. I don't know if they reviewed it or not. I haven't seen meeting minutes for that.
No, the meeting was delayed until tomorrow, I think noon Pacific.
Okay, and is the standard then that the executive committee would review this, or if a couple of board of directors, like maybe Rchain and Ian, are interested in supporting this, could they just do that? I don't really know how the process goes from here. I didn't know how to direct her past posting it to the executive committee.
Well, it would have to be an officer that signs off, not a director. So neither Rchain nor myself are officers. But I think the executive committee is a good place to start.
Cool. Sounds good.
It could be our new resource manager, human resource manager. But the easiest for her is to get things going is to define this statement of work into issues. So she has made some deliverables, and that can be set up as issues, I think. So.
Yep, that would definitely be a way to move forward. I think that part of it is that there's like a lot of overlap here in these things, and she's just not used to the bounty system yet. So I can try to get her involved with that. But it would also be great to just see this thing approved wholesale. But yeah, if we keep moving faster, it'd be good.
I think it would be good to, put an emphasis on collaborative work. I mean, whether it's someone collaborating with a proofreader or people working together to get that collective intelligence rather than focus on individual work.
Yeah, sure. I mean, she has in her proposal talking about collaborating with multiple people to figure out values, and collaborating with people when participating in the budget voting, and collaborating with people when sort of proposing the standards for like standard payment rates and all that. That's all.
What I'm talking about is collaborating on doing the translation. Okay, that it's a cooperative effort to improve the document.
Yeah, sure. And if there's sort of processes there that you seeing working for everyone wholesale, I don't think collaboration in that sense should be something that's sort of instituted from the top down. I mean, maybe some framework of review and some standard of like how much does the translator get paid as a proportion of the reviewer, that kind of stuff.
Well, if they're autonomous, the people that collaborate on a document are going to have their own norms and rules for how they divide the bounty. That shouldn't be our concern.
No, right, but you're saying she should encourage a sort of collaboration framework, but then you're also saying that everyone should be free to decide for themselves how they collaborate. So I guess I'm not understanding.
Well, anyone can join an issue on GitHub, but people are free to decide who they're willing to work with, who they give permission to update the document.
Sure. So what's your suggestion then?
Well, the bounty system, I guess the mechanism, what HJ was saying is the functionality in GitHub should be in the process to collaboratively create the documents and ensure they're approved.
Yeah, I agree. I just think, I think that proposal doesn't take that away at all. Just sort of is recognizing that there's sort of some overhead and some standards that need to be sort of realized and some reporting that needs to be done on, sort of what quality is coming out of the system that we've created. So.
Yeah, okay. For the financial data, I have everything in spreadsheet, so it's just a matter of aggregating it to higher levels, and then we can have some overview of how the money is spent.
Yeah, that would be great.
And what also would be nice is to have an overview of how the information is disseminated and where and how it is used and things like that. So then we get the idea about the added value of translations, for example. Yeah. Okay, I think I give it over to Makis or to Raup, because they are excellent discussion managers.
I have one question about bounties. We have to budget by the end of the month, and when do we have to complete rewards?
That's a very good question. I think it will go way into April to get the rewards for March together.
So will we still be able to set budgets in March for? Oh, never mind. I'll take that back.
No, it's. I think the budgets can be set, yeah, for.
Yeah, for the remaining 1 week, you can set budgets in March, if that was your question, Jim.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And anyway,
actually, remaining 3 days, I should say.
When March is a disaster for the rewards, then we will have to catch up in April. So I think the budgets will be frozen at the 1st of April, and then we allow for some days for rewards.
1st of April, what time zone are we using to cut off?
It's not an hour question, it's a day question. So
1st of April, where? Seattle time, 1st of April? Or when? What clock is the system using?
Yeah, as soon as you wake up on the 1st of April, then the system will be closed for budget settings.
Well, may I, well, yeah, I guess, may I suggest that it be West Coast US time on April 1st? So I don't know, like 12 in the midnight or something of March 31st of Seattle time is when the things should be closing down, or how does that work?
Oh man, it's not so important, I think. I mean, there can be a difference of 12 hours or so.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So
I mean,
I will
agree.
close it down at a certain time, and then it's finished.
Can we for this March budget give at least a week grace period for budget and maybe reward system? Because I in particular I haven't had time to go into the system to really see how it's working, and a lot of people I've heard someone complain about it being complex, but I understand that because it's a new system, people will tend to complain. But if that's possible.
I think it would be good to have a demo of the system and how to use it. I think a week is plenty of time. I know Dan was sort of shocked by the having to mix the months. He didn't want to do that. He wants to have it separated. And you know, if he is willing to delay it for another week or two, we could do that. But I do think that we have enough time. We don't have a week. We have a half a week. If we go through a demo now so that we know how to use it and we help each other use it, we should be able to get the budgets for March done.
Yeah, Dan did a quick demo the other day, but I guess a little slower and more detailed demo maybe is necessary, where people are actually working on their own items during the demo so that the budgets are done as the demo is done, something like that. Maybe, or they come back and fix any errors or mistakes.
Yeah, it's best to work on budgets with other people, because you're cooperating on the budgets when you're cooperating in activities or issues, and you can help each other use the system.
But I think that March could be a lost month, and then we are going to catch up in April for the things you've done in March. So that's the easiest solution.
Right. So are you saying, HJ, that there will not be 1 week into April for March budgets, or are you saying that's okay? Or that there will be 1 week grace period?
No, there won't be 1 week for budget setting in April for the budgets of March. Only we can have some. We can have some slack for the rewards, so that's a bit more flexible. But I think the budgets have to be frozen on the 1st of April.
One thing that I wanted to make mention of as I look at the reward system is, I think whoever raises up an issue should have the authority to go and assign how much each contributing member should get, and open it up for other members to also put in, because there might be a situation where someone doesn't understand the budget system and then ends up getting nothing because they did not participate in the reward and budgeting system. I think this should not be the case. Whoever opens an issue should assign a monetary value should assign bounty to every member who contributed, and then every other member can also go ahead and say yes, no, or increase or reduce the value.
You can already do that, I'm pretty sure.
What did you say?
That's already a feature that's available.
Yeah,
so you mean every member gets something?
If you create an issue, you can go and assign rewards to all the people that participate.
I know that you can go ahead and assign, but I'm saying, is that the usual case? So I create an issue. Do I make sure that everybody who participated gets a bounty?
Yeah, well, the person reporting the problem isn't necessarily the lead or the person, the people that's, in other words, if I go to put a bounty on an issue, I give bounties based on not whether I created the issue, but because I know how much each person contributed, I assign a budget to that, a percentage to them, or at least the people I know. I assign a percentage.
So I agree let me take it back. So it doesn't have to be the person who creates an issue. My point is we have new members coming on board and people would typically participate on GitHub issues and not necessarily understand how the reward system works. So I think, you know, everybody who participates should be given some rewards, whether they understand the system or not. Yeah.
Yeah, you can still put in rewards for them even if they haven't voted, and if you know there's consensus, they'll get a reward. That doesn't mean though that they won't have to submit an invoice or whatever. At
Oh
the end
yeah,
of the
I agree. I agree with that. So what if they don't get up to 3 votes?
I think in onboarding, you know, people to the reward system, they should be aware that if they want to get a reward, and they're new to the team, they may want to assign a reward to themselves. And then when other people see that, they say, oh yeah, I'll reward them more than that or less than that or whatever. You know, getting so participating, you know, if they participate in the reward system, they'll have given themselves some percentage. And
Yeah,
but
I
yes,
agree.
need 3 votes.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm just looking for more of a safe-proof system where the community can also help those who are not necessarily participating in it just because they are new. And then they don't get overly low percentage because they have not been involved in the reward system.
yeah, and this is
I think
creates an
actually
onboarding issue.
Right, it is an onboarding issue in that, especially for the person that is leading that, or not either leading or has or is taking a role in giving the rewards. They should try to help others understand what they are supposed to do and how. So I think that should be that kind of onboarding on a either issue or budgets basis needs to be done by the teams a couple of times. And I agree. I mean, I was hurt by lack of that in the first couple of months.
I went back to look at the system and I saw, oh, low percentage, because sometimes you're not aware of what's going on and then you just get 2% or 1%, even though you've put in a ton of work. That's why I'm bringing it up on this platform, not necessarily that we have to write a code to solve it, but, you know, we just have to look out for each other and, you know, make the system fair for those who are not actively participating. It could be as a result of the fact that they're not aware of how the system works. So it's something we can do together.
Right. So what I would suggest is that any time a new person joins on a task, whoever is more experienced or has been involved with that task for a little bit longer should bring them up to speed on the budget side of things and how to give budgets and how to give rewards. Take them through that a couple times so that that is done, that they're aware, right? Because you need 3 people on I think both on budgets and rewards, though I'm not 100% sure. Can somebody clarify that? Rewards also you need 3 people, AJ?
Yeah, it's 3 and 3.
Okay. So I think that needs to be done.
Thanks, Ro.
Is the 3 and 3 on the new platform for like, so for a bounty I put up, you know, in February, is I'm kind of confused how the older ones work. Is this for newer ones or is it still for the old stuff?
Yeah, for the old ones, I was, it was not enforced by the system. So even when there was 1 vote, then I said, well, okay, we have to get used to this kind of system. So it will go through. But in the new system, it's enforced by the system. So if you don't have at least 3 votes, then you will miss your bounty.
Now, did the data in terms of whatever carryover budgets were there in the and as well as unpaid rewards, did that get carried over from the old system to the new system? Or did the unpaid rewards disappear?
I think the ancient budgets have been added to the issues.
How about
But,
the rewards?
Well, the rewards for they haven't been sent over.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be fair to send them over. You know, maybe if people don't vote in the March, April timeframe, at some point we can say, well, you know, those are not real anymore. But it sounds to me like the rewards that were in the process of being voted and did not complete the process should probably carry over, I would think.
Yeah. Another way of solving this is that they ask in April more reward. So
right,
it's kind of catching up, you know.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, either of those. Go ahead, Jim.
Let me just show this. Okay, I did a search on identity issues, report on efforts related to identity. I can see that myself, David, and Aviation Hacker budgeted for $2,000. Okay, and if I go to reward votes here, I can see that I mean, just go to the rewards tab. It's where it's summarized. That we have only 2 votes for each person, so there's no rewards yet, which is fine.
Yeah.
Because this was experimenting with rewards before the end of the month, which we don't know what people are going to do yet. If we click on these, we can change the percentage. So we see Amika here has 2 votes that average to 15% of the budget right now, which is preliminary because we don't know what it's going to be at the end of the month.
Yeah, and also for the invoicing, my idea is to create a spreadsheet template, and everybody has that in this personal spreadsheet. And then you press a button and it imports the data from the Bounty app into the cells where it's needed.
That will be awesome.
Yeah. I can share my screen also for so what is it? So what I first have to do is to log in. Log into the system. So when I look at the rewards for myself, then I'm chosen for a few subjects, issues, and these ones are confirmed by 3 people. And you see this double column behind the name. That means that they are approved members or verified members. And so here we have at least 3, and the provisional reward was 63, and here it is actually 63, and here it's 300, and here it's 300. So now I go to invoice info, and I click on this. Sorry, export. No, wait a minute. I click on this. Verified code. Well, the navigation in this application is not really nice yet, but so I click on invoice info and then I do export. What I get then is this, and when I click on it, open this in the invoice table, and I do an invoice export, and it will get these items. See this is in fact the checked ones are unnecessary for my system. So what the spreadsheet has to do, it has only to import these figures. And then you go to, for example, to, let me say, invoice template. So you would get here a button and it would import your items here, and then the spreadsheet can handle everything else. And when it's done, then you say file, download as PDF, and it will create a PDF of it. You can make it portrait. And then this could be either sent by email or through a form. But this I have to check with the new CFO, how she wants it. Because at the moment it's done by email, and I don't know if it's an obligation from the financial accounting perspective. So, yeah. I found also a guy in South Africa who can make excellent animations, and he will try to make this process very clear so everybody understands it. And this animation will be ready in 10 days from now. So, give it back to the floor. So, Ralph,
Yeah, so did anybody else have any questions on this budget system? If not, on the agenda, Jim put a couple of items, I think. Jake did already the translation update. So if you don't have any questions on this, I can move to the rest of the agenda. Jim, I think you wanted to talk about, you put a whole bunch of items on here. These are just things you're going to get or about to get started on, or what?
This is a list of activities where there's some energy, and let me bring that up. Where is it? Where we there we go. There's some energy behind some projects here, and notably, there's Leah and Ameka are leading an effort to create a bring your own identity cooperative, where Rchain and Holochain and Digital Life Collective cooperate with our existing co-op partners and continue the effort of building privacy respected identity for Rchain members today, and the services we're providing, like the bounty system. And our respect for their privacy and permissions, which there are standards that we can employ to use those more effectively. But I'll provide links in the agenda here. The other things that people have brought up lately include RSpace on GraphQL and Rchain on Holochain. It's exciting today that I'm saying we can put RSpace on GraphQL tomorrow. We're still learning to use the ReactQL framework, but we're working on that, and that's part of the Social Ledger 2.0 work, which we the financial ledger and the social ledger on Rchain, is essentially what we say and do together, and that's the basis of Rchain identity, the reactive identity of you are what you say and do, and we contract. Our contracts control how that is exposed. The Rchain learning is certainly something a lot of us want to do, and the bounty system is awesome and terrific, and it's something that we want to employ and improve and develop. And then, of course, there's I just mentioned the translations effort, which seems to be that we're spawning that now as a real working group, sort of. We're discovering the organic structure of our organization, and in the list of projects that we're involved in or interested in, and I should probably add to here, the self-sovereign tech stack. And that's really common to bring your own ID and RSpace onto GraphQL and Social Ledger as a self-sovereign tech stack. Well, maybe I should say back and front end. I guess tech stack, and I'm taking too much time here typing. This is where the wallet is and all that stuff. Because I'll have to put a link into to these things. But these are some of the things I'm involved in, and you can add to the list of other things. There's lots of things happening in the cooperative that members are involved in, and I guess the challenge is collaborating uh, collaborating among the organizations and finding the links between the organizations. I started a somewhat of a mapping of connections between the communities and who are the links that bind these communities in a high bandwidth interaction so that they you can get consent and collective intelligence across the organizations. Of course, there's a lot of work to do with this, and that's really what the social ledger is designed to do, is keep this information mostly reactively by what you participate in. So it can be discovered, but initially we have to build a anti-fragile structure among our organizations to have that collaboration at scale that we're seeking. But you know, I guess if whatever cooperation each of us, you know, brings to the cooperative, in essence, needs an interface. And, you know, it may just be an announcement of activities, you know, between each other so that, you know, they don't, they're not overly redundant, and they don't have to reinvent the wheel. We all need the same shit. You know?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, Jim. Jim, I mean, I don't know how this is going to work when we have like, right now you have a list of 6 projects or something. And being in some of those, I'm well aware of the both the lack of one individual's ability to connect to or catch up on all of those, and or the overall gap in terms of synergizing those projects. Now, and that list is not even complete. What you listed there is what you're involved in, and then there's probably 3 times or 10 times that when you look at the whole cooperative right now. And the executive committee and wherever the statement of works are going, they're seeing a bunch of other things that we may not be seeing in this list. So, I mean, I think that overall coordination is sort of an issue, and I guess we need to figure out how we're going to do that long term. And we are trying to do that through this meeting as like a working groups coordination is one of the objectives of this meeting, right? And then other places people are participating in whatever they want to or can participate in. I don't know, I guess that spreadsheet you were showing on social ledger stuff is basically only, it's probably not even a full representation of where you're involved, right? You're probably more than that. So I guess,
I'm asking people to collaboratively add the information they have, add themselves where they are.
On that spreadsheet,
I don't expect, you know, and a few people have participated, but you know, I encourage more participation.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say that's a long-term issue. Yeah. And I don't know if spreadsheet is the right way to do it. But in any case, I think we do need to resolve that issue somehow. I don't know if it's the member site is going to be the place to, you know, put things. Obviously, there's the budget app. There's GitHub. So somewhere, somehow that needs to be filtered up to say, here are the relationships among these different activities. And maybe not everything needs to be coordinated together, but some of them at least are tightly linked together, and we need to be able to depict and then demand coordination to a degree when there is a link, meaning content link of some kind between projects.
Yeah. Well, and you know, the governance process will be curating the connections between the groups. I mean, obviously, if we have interlocking directorates, we're going to have more coordination. You know, the sociocratic principle that is, if you have two links, at least two links, you can have a collective intelligence of a larger sociocratic polyarchy. Getting consent across the groups. And, you know, that's why I think it's important for us to map our connections and, you know, poll them to foster the coordination that is made possible by having links. And like I said, the links can be a channel. It doesn't have to be a person, but ideally it's a higher bandwidth link. But we did skip the committee and working group reports. Although I haven't really prepared to do a report. The governance committee is working on a working group protocols document on how working groups operate within the cooperative, and you can find the link. We should probably put that in case people want to look at that. Values and principles group is, I guess, collecting a wider sample of values and looking into how to weed down the list and you know, make a suggestion as to the next steps in terms of finalizing values first and then our principles. Any other working group reports, nomination committee, anybody want to take that?
I would like to hear from either both Jonathan and Navneet as to what you're seeing that we don't know.
This is Jonathan.
Sorry, Jonathan. We don't hear you, Jonathan.
Hello?
Yeah, now we hear you.
Oh gosh, I keep forgetting there's the microphone is on the side of my laptop, and that's where I put my hand. Silly me. Anticipating that question, I've actually been typing in the active document here. There has been an informal branding working group comprised primarily of myself, P. Mormon, and Patrick. And this is spawned by a document that Ian wrote February 12th to consider getting an outside branding firm to help Rchain as a group, not just Rchain Co-op, but Rchain, Pyrofex, Pythia, and Reflective, to come up with some consistent branding and value propositions. We've evaluated, we've done quick evaluation of 10 different marketing firms, have narrowed it down to 4 or so. We're having a meeting with Encore and Amir later today so that we can coordinate our activities and our vision with the overall big marketing plan that they wrote up. So that on Monday, when the board votes on the marketing plan and which parts to prioritize for the initial tranche of investment, branding will be explicitly included in there as well. So what we're looking for is a branding firm that can work closely with people that are intimate with the have an intimate understanding of Rchain, the technology, the desired community outreach, and help guide us towards collectively coming up with some really good taglines, value propositions. And so that the kickoff for that will probably be the week before the developers conference. So we're hoping that Lawrence, Kenny, in person and also remotely, Nash can meet with the top candidate branding firms, make a decision about which one to actually move forward with. And in the course of that, we'll also make clear that we want to have measured community involvement with expectation management, and aim to have some finished product instantiated in websites and branding materials within about a month and a half, 2 months. In addition, I've been asked to join the Encore Amir and Company marketing plan activities, and we'll be forming some working groups there specifically oriented around marketing. One area that I'll be directly involved with will be competitive intelligence and understanding what other third generation DLT organizations are doing, not in an effort to try to emulate what they're doing, but to understand what value propositions they may be offering that we're not, or areas in which Rchain is stronger. So I think that's sufficient for now. Any questions?
Are you looking for any help on that competitive intelligence effort, Jonathan? If so, I'm willing to volunteer.
Nomination accepted.
All right, thank you. Yeah,
bet.
go ahead.
You bet. Self-nomination accepted, yes. Boom.
All right, thanks. Navneet, you want to tell us what you know that we don't know? Navneet, are you there? I guess.
Raup, I've a question to Jonathan.
Hi.
Yeah, so you are part of the nomination committee, aren't you?
No.
Oh.
I was accepting Rao's request to be involved in the competitive intelligence group.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Because, well, there are 2 new employees, officers. And I don't know if there was any community involvement in making those decisions. So that's why
HJ, you're talking about the nomination committee getting two new players. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Do you know who they are?
Yeah. Just a minute.
Okay, Gonzalez, you mean the treasurer and the HR?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Kate Gonzalez and Bill, I forget his last name.
Swan or?
Yeah, Bill Swan.
Okay, so they're both part of the nominating committee now?
No, they're both on staff.
Right, that's what I thought. Why, but HJ is talking about the nomination committee, or is HJ talking about who the nomination committee voted to be approved? I'm confused.
Well, in my view, the nomination committee should also be consulted in new officers, in choosing new officers. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a couple of issues there. I'm assuming that it's already part of their charter to be consulted in anything, but as of now, I think the problem has been that the skill set, at least from my personal perspective, the skill set on the nominating committee has not been compatible with saying these should be the CFO, these should be the chief whatever, chief CXO, because and I think this is where even Jake, who is on the nominating committee, and Philip Strauch, who's also on the nominating committee, felt uncomfortable being put in a position to say, well, this person should be considered for a CFO or treasurer or whatever position because they have no backgrounds to do that.
Yeah.
So that I think the quality of personnel and the process of ensuring quality of personnel is a little bit iffy right now in my personal assessment. So it's actually a haphazard, I think. But yeah, that needs to be fixed, whereby we can, whether it is going to be a genuine qualified executive search firm or executive whatever recruitment consulting firm or somebody that can at least give a template for people and a process that people can follow. Because I mean, if you're hiring or making recommendations about somebody should be a CXO, it's fair to expect that you have been a CXO yourself to be able to say, yes, this person kind of fits that bill. Now we can say anybody in the community should have the right or vote or whatever to talk about it, but certain things are competency based, right? I mean, it's not just about being a member of the community. So that I think is a balance that needs to be determined somehow.
Yeah. So at least the intention was there to consult the nomination committee.
Yeah, I think the nomination committee at this point says, well, these nominations are reasonable as far as we could tell. We're really taking nominations from the community and curating them in terms of which ones get put forward to the as recommendations of the committee. And the board or anybody can make a nomination, and all the nomination committee can really do is exclude the ones that are clearly unqualified.
Yeah, that's clear. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, from my understanding, the nominating committee is being consulted on everything, as far as I know. Though I don't know for sure if that is the case. Jonathan, you have any inkling on that, or?
I actually don't. All I know is that in the case of both Kate Gonsalves and oh gosh, I forgot his name again, Bill Swan. I was asked by Kenny to interview them and to present my evaluation of my to present the results of my evaluation to Kenny. That's my only involvement in the standard.
Your sound is off again, John.
Oh, I'm sorry. All I know is that in the case of both Kate Gonsalves and Bill Swan, I was asked as a co-op employee to interview both Bill and Kate and report back to Kenny my impressions of in both cases, 1 hour interviews. I don't have any insights into how and whether the nominating committee was involved in either of those cases, except miscellaneous things I've seen in Discord. So I don't know the process behind what I was involved with.
Okay. Now, you described Kate as a treasurer. Is she CFO or is she treasurer?
CFO.
That's
Okay.
the title that I think she has, yes. There was discussion as to whether her title would be most appropriately CFO or treasurer, or I believe there was one other term that was being bandied about, starts with a C.
Controller.
Controller, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, those three things mean slightly different things, but I guess at least that is maybe under discussion or something, but we'll leave it alone. We can't solve that one here anyways, but I was just curious. Okay, so anything else? We're already past the time on this. If there are no other items, I would like to declare the meeting closed.
It's a good idea.
All right, see you, everybody. See you later.
Bye, folks.
See you. Bye.